They say that some wounds never show on the skin, that the deepest scars are the ones carved into the soul by the words of those who are supposed to love us. This is the story of Adanna. And if you've ever felt like you weren't enough, this story is for you. Adanna pressed her face against the cold window of the bus, watching the lights of Lagos blur into streams of gold and red through her tears. 28 years old, and she was running again, always running. Her phone buzzed. Another message from her mother. Your sister is getting married next month. Her husband is a doctor. What do you have to show for your life? You are a disgrace to this family. Adanna's hands trembled as she turned off the phone. The engagement ring that had been on her finger just 3 days ago was gone. Chukwudi had taken it back after his mother said those words that still echoed in Adanna's mind like a curse. My son cannot marry damaged goods. A woman with your history. A woman who was used? Never. That word had followed Adanna like a shadow since she was 16. Since her uncle, her own blood, had stolen something from her that she could never get back. And when she finally found the courage to speak up, her own aunt had slapped her and called her a liar. You're trying to destroy this family with your wicked lies. The bus jerked to a stop in Ibadan, and Adanna stumbled off with her single suitcase containing everything she owned. She had 8,000 nairas to her name, enough for maybe 2 weeks if she was careful. After that, she didn't want to think about after that. She found a cheap room in Makola's single space that smelled of mildew and yesterday's fried fish. The landlady, a heavy-set woman named Mama Tuned, looked her up and down with suspicious eyes. You running from something? No, Ma. Adanna lied, counting out the money for 1 week's rent. They all say no. Mama Tund pocketed the cash. Just don't bring trouble to my house. Trouble. Adanna almost laughed. Trouble was all she'd ever known. That night, alone in that room with its peeling paint and broken mirror, Adanna did something she hadn't done in 12 years. She got on her knees, but not to pray to plan. She opened her suitcase and pulled out the bottle of pills she'd bought at the pharmacy before leaving Lagos. 50 tablets. More than enough. I'm sorry, she whispered to the ceiling, to God, to whoever might be listening. But I'm so tired of being broken. The next morning, Adanna woke up and for a moment, she was angry that she had. The pills were still on the floor. She'd fallen asleep before she could go through with it. Her stomach growled. She hadn't eaten in nearly 2 days. With trembling hands, she counted her remaining money. 5,200 naira. She needed to find work. Any work. The market square in Mokola was already bustling when Adanna arrived, asking every shop owner, every stall vendor if they needed help. By noon, she'd been rejected 18 times. You look too educated for this work, one woman said, eyeing her suspiciously. What are you really doing here? Running, hiding, dying, slowly. Adanna sat on a broken concrete bench near the market entrance, defeat settling over her like a burial shroud. A street preacher was shouting nearby, his voice hoarse but passionate. God has not forgotten you. You think you are alone, but He sees you. He sees you. Adanna closed her eyes. If God saw her, He was looking at garbage. Adanna looked up. An older woman stood before her, maybe 50. Her eyes seemed to hold both sorrow and sunlight. She wore a simple wrapper and blouse. Nothing expensive, but she carried herself with quiet dignity. You are hungry, the woman said. Not a question. A statement. I'm fine, Adanna lied reflexively. I am Mama Akian, the woman continued as if Adanna hadn't spoken. I run a small restaurant near here. I watched you this morning, going from store to store. I see a young woman who needs work and I need someone to help me. The pay is small, but you will eat, and there is a small room behind the restaurant. Adanna stared. Why would you help me? You don't know me. Mama Akin smiled. And there was something knowing in that smile, something that made Adanna's chest tighten because somebody once helped me when I was where you are. Come, let me show you the place. If you don't like it, you can leave. Mama Ekin's restaurant was a small affair, 6 plastic tables, a tiny kitchen that smelled of pepper, soup, and redemption. But it was clean, dignified. And when Mama Ekin showed Adanna the room behind the restaurant, Adanna nearly broke down. It was simple, a bed, a chair, a cross on the wall, but it had a lock on the door. A lock that she controlled, safety. I can't pay you much, Mama Ekin said, but you'll have 3 meals a day, this room, and 15,000 naira at the end of each month. Is that acceptable? Adanna nodded, not trusting her voice. Good. You start tomorrow. But today, you eat. Over a bowl of okra soup and iba that tasted like heaven, Mama Ekin asked the question Adanna had been dreading. What are you running from? Adanna's spoon stopped halfway to her mouth. She could lie, should lie. But something in Mama Ekin's eyes, that same knowing look, broke through her defenses. Everything, Adanna whispered. I'm running from everything. From my family who thinks I'm cursed. From my fiancé who called me damaged goods. From God who let me be broken in the first place. She expected judgment, platitudes. Instead, Mama Ekin reached across the table and took her hand. Then you've come to the right place, because this restaurant, it's where broken things come to be made whole. Starting with me. Weeks passed. Adanna worked from dawn until evening, taking orders, washing dishes, cleaning tables. The work was hard, but it was honest, and for the first time in years, she slept without nightmares. The restaurant's regulars began to know her name. There was Uncle Biodin, the taxi driver who always ordered a mala and jay bajiri. There was Ngozi, the young mother who came in with her 3 children, counting her coins carefully. And there was Pastor Alyamide, a quiet man with salt and pepper hair who came every Wednesday for lunch. You're new, Pastor Alyamide said one afternoon, his eyes kind. Yes, sir, Adanna replied, keeping her gaze down. Welcome. This is a good place. Mama Ekin has a gift for finding people who need finding. Adanna glanced at Mama Ekin, who was stirring a pot of stew with unusual intensity. That night, after the last customer left, Mama Ekin locked the door and turned to Adanna with an expression she'd never seen before. Something raw and vulnerable. Sit down, Adanna. It's time I told you why I really hired you. Adanna's heart raced. Here it comes. The catch. The betrayal. Mama Ekin sat across from her, hands folded on the table. 27 years ago, I had a daughter. Her name was Chidinma. She was beautiful, smart, full of fire. When she was 16, my brother-in-law, he violated her, destroyed her innocence. And when she tried to tell me, Mama Ekin's voice cracked. I didn't believe her. I called her a liar. I chose my husband's family over my own child. And 3 months later, Chidinma took her own life. She left me a note that I still carry. She pulled out a worn piece of paper from her wrapper. It said, Mama, I wasn't lying. And I can't live in a world where even you think I'm worthless. Tears streamed down Mama Ekin's face. I've spent every day since then asking God to forgive me. And 5 years ago, he gave me a dream. He showed me a young woman who looked like my Chidinma, running, broken, ready to end her life. And he said to me, what you couldn't do for your daughter, I'm giving you a chance to do for someone else. 3 weeks before you arrived in Mukalla, I saw your face. I saw you sitting on that bench, counting pills in your mind. And I knew. God sent you to me, Adanna. Not just for you to be saved, but for me to have one more chance to tell a broken girl that she is not worthless, that she is not damaged, that she is beloved. Adanna stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. No, this is manipulation. You're trying to replace your daughter with me. That's why you hired me. You're not a replacement, Mama Ekin said firmly, standing. You're a second chance. For both of us. Adanna, I see you. I see how you flinch when men raise their voices. I see how you shrink yourself to avoid being noticed. I see how you believe the lie that you are what was done to you. It's not a lie, Adanna shouted, years of pain erupting. I am damaged goods. Chikuti's mother was right. What good man would want someone like me? Someone who was chosen, a voice said from the doorway. Both women turned. Pastor Alamide stood there, his face grave but gentle. He held up a key. I'm sorry. The door was unlocked and I heard shouting. I came to make sure everyone was safe. He stepped inside. But I heard what you said, sister, and I need you to hear something. He walked closer, his eyes never leaving Adanna's. My name is Olamide Adalik. I'm the senior pastor at Grace Restoration Church. And I have a testimony that might sound familiar to you. When I was 7 years old, my father's friend molested me. For 3 years it continued. And when I finally told my mother, she beat me for lying about a good man. Adanna's breath caught. I grew up believing I was contaminated, worthless. I tried to end my life twice before I was 20. But then I met Jesus. Not the religious Jesus, but the real one. The one who looked at the Samaritan woman with 5 failed marriages and didn't call her damaged goods. He called her worthy of his time, worthy of his truth, worthy of being the first evangelist to her city. Pastor Alamide's voice grew stronger. What was done to you was evil, Adanna, but it did not change your value. A diamond doesn't lose its worth because mud was thrown on it. It just needs to be washed. And God is the only one who can wash us clean. Not because we deserve it, but because He decides our worth, not our pain. For 3 months, Adanna began to heal. She attended Pastor Oyomide's church, a small congregation of broken, beautiful people who didn't pretend to have it all together. She started a journal where she wrote letters to God, angry letters, confused letters, and finally, grateful letters. Mama Akin became the mother she'd never had. They prayed together, cooked together, cried together, and slowly, carefully, Adanna began to believe that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't garbage after all. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, he walked into the restaurant, Chikuti. Adanna froze, a tray of food trembling in her hands. He looked exactly the same, handsome, well-dressed, confident. But now she saw something she'd missed before, the coldness in his eyes, the calculation. Adanna, he said, his voice smooth as oil. I've been looking everywhere for you. Get out, she whispered. Baby, please, I made a mistake. My mother was wrong. I was wrong. I want you back. The restaurant had gone silent. Every customer was watching. Mama Akin moved closer to Adanna, protective. Chikuti pulled out a box. The engagement ring glittered inside. Marry me, for real this time. I don't care about your past. I love you. 3 months ago, Adanna would have wept with gratitude, would have thrown herself at his feet for one more chance to be chosen by someone. But now, how did you find me? She asked quietly. Your sister told me you were in Ibadan. I hired someone to search. Adanna, I've been miserable without you. Please. Adanna looked at the ring, then at Chikuti, then at Mama Akini, whose eyes were filled with a fierce pride. No, Adanna said. Chikuti blinked. What? I said no. Her voice grew stronger. You called me damaged goods. You gave back this ring because your mother said I wasn't good enough. And now you want me back? Why? What changed? No. Adanna set down the tray, her hands steady now. You realized something else. You thought I'd be here, desperate, broken, grateful that you came back. You thought you could swoop in and rescue me, and I'd spend the rest of my life proving I was worthy of you. She stepped closer. But I don't need you to rescue me, Chikuti. God already did, and He didn't make me beg for it. He didn't call me damaged. He called me daughter. Chikuti's face hardened. The mask slipped completely. You're making a mistake. You think you can do better than me? Look at you. You're working in a roadside restaurant. You have nothing. You are nothing, and you're turning me down. Yes, Adanna said, tears streaming down her face, but they were different tears now. Clean tears. I'm turning you down because I finally understand something. My worth is not determined by who chooses me, it's determined by who created me. And the God who formed me in my mother's womb, who knew every day of my life before I lived one of them, he says I'm priceless, and I believe him more than I believe you. Jakuti grabbed the ring box and turned to leave, then stopped at the door. You'll regret this. You'll end up alone, serving food to strangers, wondering what could have been. Maybe, Adanna said softly, but I'll be alone with my dignity, and that's more than I would have had with you. The door slammed. The restaurant remained silent for 3 heartbeats. Then Mama Akini started clapping, Pastor Alamide joined in, and one by one, every person in that restaurant stood and applauded. Uncle Biodin wiped his eyes. Ah, you have finally found your voice. And Ngozi, the young mother, came over and hugged her. Thank you, she whispered. My husband treats me the way yours treated you. You just gave me courage. Adanna collapsed into a chair, overwhelmed. She had done it. She had chosen herself, chosen God's voice over her past, and the sky hadn't fallen. The world hadn't ended. She had survived. 6 months later, Mama Ekin's restaurant had a new sign, Restoration Kitchen, where broken things become beautiful. And underneath, in smaller letters, food for the body, hope for the soul. But it was more than a restaurant now. On Wednesday evenings, the tables were pushed aside and women gathered. Women with stories like Adanna's. Women who'd been violated, rejected, abandoned, told they were damaged goods. Adanna led the meetings. My name is Adanna, she would begin each session, and I'm not here because I have all the answers. I'm here because I almost gave up. I almost believed the lie that my pain defined my value. But I met people who showed me the truth. She would glance at Mama Akini, who sat in the corner, beaming. The truth is this. What happened to you was wrong. It was evil. It was not your fault. And it does not disqualify you from love, from purpose, from God. You are not damaged goods. You are a warrior who survived a battle. And your scars? They're proof that you're stronger than what tried to destroy you. The women would cry, testify, hold each other. And slowly, week by week, they would heal. Pastor Alamide partnered with them, offering counseling, prayer, resources. The local government heard about their work and provided a grant. Last major newspapers wrote articles. But Adanna refused all interviews. This isn't about me, she told reporters. It's about Jesus. It's about showing people that the same God who restored me can restore anyone. I'm nobody special. That's where you're wrong, Mama Akini said one evening after everyone had left. You're so special that God orchestrated an entire series of events, your pain, your escape, our meeting, just to bring you to your purpose. He could have saved you in Lagos. He could have sent someone else to that bench, but he sent me. Because your story and my story needed to collide to create something bigger than both of us. Adanna hugged her. Thank you, Mama, for seeing me when I couldn't see myself. Thank God I was just the instrument. That night, alone in her room, which she'd decorated with Bible verses and photos of the women they'd helped, Adanna opened her journal. She had one more letter to write. Dear God, a year ago I was on a bus with pills in my pocket and death in my heart. I thought rejection was the end of my story. I thought being broken meant being worthless. But you had other plans. You sent me Mama Akin, who showed me what it means to turn pain into purpose. You sent me Pastor Alamide, who proved that survivors can thrive. You sent me Rejection from Shakuti, which looked like a curse, but was actually protection. Because if he had said yes, I would have settled for a man who tolerated me instead of waiting for the God who treasures me. I'm not completely healed. Some days, the memories still hurt. Some days, I still wonder if I'm really as valuable as you say I am. But I'm learning. I'm fighting. And I'm helping others fight too. Thank you for not letting me die on that bus. Thank you for turning my rejection into redirection. Thank you for teaching me that my worth was never about who chose me. It was always about who created me. I am yours. Broken, healing, but yours. Forever grateful, Adanna. 3 years later, Adanna received a letter. It was from Ngozi, the young mother from the restaurant. She wrote, "Sister Adanna, I left my husband. I took my children and enrolled in nursing school. It's hard, but I'm doing it. You saved my life that day in the restaurant when you stood up to your ex. You showed me that I deserved better. I just wanted to say thank you. And to tell you that because you chose yourself, I found the courage to choose myself too." Adanna pinned the letter to her wall next to dozens of others, testimonies from women who'd found hope through Restoration Kitchen. Each letter was a reminder that God doesn't waste pain. He recycles it. He transforms it into something that can light the way for someone else stumbling in the dark. And as Adanna stood in the restaurant one evening, watching Mama Akian teach a new group of women how to make jollof rice while sharing her testimony, she finally understood. Rejection wasn't her ending, it was her beginning. Not everyone would see her value. Not everyone would choose her, but the one who mattered most already had. Before she was born, before she was broken, before she knew her own name, God had chosen her, and that made her priceless. Maybe you're listening to this story and you see yourself in Adanna. Maybe someone told you that you're damaged goods, that your past disqualifies you from your future, that you're too broken to be used by God. Let me tell you what Adanna learned. You are not what happened to you. You are not the opinions of people who couldn't see your value. You are not your mistakes, your trauma, or your rejection. You are a beloved child of the Most High God. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are precious in His sight. And if He allows you to go through a season of rejection, it's not because you're worthless. It's because He's redirecting you to something better. Something that won't require you to shrink yourself or beg for crumbs of affection. The road back to God is paved with broken pieces. But when you let Him put those pieces back together, He doesn't just repair you, He creates a masterpiece, a testimony, a light for others who are still stumbling in the dark. Your rejection is not your ending, it's your redirection. And the best part of your story? It hasn't been written yet, so don't give up. Don't you dare give up. Your Mama Akina is coming. Your breakthrough is coming. Your purpose is coming. And when it arrives, you'll look back at this season of pain and realize God was never absent. He was preparing you for such a time as this. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34-18. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29-11. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147-3.